And I start saying, yeah, that's what happened to me. And nobody ever even explained that to me.
All right, so let's stop right there. How does PTSD? Let's talk about what you just said. How does PTSD? What you just said. Like, so explain that part.
You start with the trauma, and you know, could be anything. Something that happened when you're in the service. An IED goes off, and you lose part of your battalion. You lose maybe a limb or something. Okay, you've got trauma. You come back. And some people, they seem to be able to process that and move on. They reset, is what we say. Other people cannot. The body and the mind are not going to reset. And the reason for that is it's not just in your head. And that's a fallacy I want to get out about PTSD. It is not a mental health condition. I wish people would stop selling veterans on that. It's a physical, emotional, intellectual situation. The body holds on to the stress. The emotions have a difficult time facing it, and clarity of thought just disappears. Those three things together are what create PTSD. And when a person is in the throes of that, it's not going to happen. You're not going to talk your way through it. That's another thing. I've been telling the Veterans Administration that for years. They say, well, we here, antidepressant here, talk about it and we're good. And then, no, it's not, because the body's not going to let go and the emotions are going to wrap themselves around it, and it's going to continue to replay. And that's the other thing, you know how it goes. There's the nightmares, and there's the flashbacks, and there's the triggers, and and we want to educate people. This is how it gets to that point. Then it's an individual thing. Now I get to your story, because that's the other thing the VA and everybody else does. They treat this in a canned kind of way. It's the same for everybody, and it's not. It never was. Everybody's story is different. Everybody's trauma is different. The development of the PTSD is different, and how we're going to treat that has to be different too.
I think they treat it all the same, because that's how it all gets put on your benefits. When you have PTSD and you get paid for having PTSD, and those different percentages, they have everything built into those percentages. And if you hit this, you're at this level, and you hit this, you're at this level. I think they do that for standardized, but that's the biggest thing. Talk therapy doesn't work. It's helped me the most is my podcast. Even though I talk, but I get to talk to people and I get to hear things differently and talk about things differently, and that's what's helped me out the most for what I do. One of the biggest problems I was not a combat vet, so I didn't think I had any right to talk about PTSD. And that's one of the other issues that we run into. And so many veterans, especially, that were in during that period of time that there was no war, things has happened. I was a corpsman. I worked in, I dealt with burn patients and a bunch of other stuff, and I dealt with I'm not going to get into my whole story, but I also pulled duty as EMT, which wasn't just EMT. We were paramedics. We get pulled out to I-5 in Southern California. We saw a lot of stuff that not normally you would see. And I didn't understand. I ran away from the medical field, got in a totally different field, and didn't understand why. And then it finally hit me later when a ranger was like, dude, you got PTSD? I go, no, I don't. I just have a good memory. And it's like... And you know what I mean? He's like, no, you don't understand. And they don't explain any of that to you. When I got out, PTSD was a scarlet letter. You did not talk about it. You did not say you had it. If you did, you were not getting jobs. You were not getting anything.
And it's not that much different today. It's better, but it's still not. It's the old story. Why do veterans talk to veterans, only veterans? Because, okay, we understand each other. Well, that alone should tell people we're missing something. So, when I started doing this, I said, all right, just tell me the story. Well, you're not going to believe it. I said, yes, I am. If you experience this, it's not my job to judge it. It's my job to help you through it. And I've had great success with veterans over the years, because I educate them.